was created out of the spare parts of a calculator wristwatch. When a calibrator messed around, it got the wires crisscrossed. He lived in a pocket of energy with an emergency release, which was triggered by the explosion, thus the emergence of the beast. Now depending on who you ask, what happens next is debatable. The victor's history usually comes from sources incapable. I know whether left from the right, it is the curse of the text. That's why we're leaving it up to the reader to find which version is best.
The beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast.
One school of thought has the creature painted as a sadist, who always seemed to thrive and only arrive wherever the pain is. He was evil incarnate with the heart of a vacuous void, who targeted innocence with malevolence and he had to destroy. But the other side of the coin said he's been wrongly accused, and those who portray him as a monster are just strongly confused. But no matter which side of the argument, they all can at least agree that nobody's ever experienced anything quite like the beast. He stood about 10 feet tall, but when he hunched, he was just half that. The expression on his face was to be feared and to be laughed at. You didn't have to stare to notice the oddity on his left pec. While other people had a heart, the beast had a cassette deck with a tape that played a heartbeat that was kind and gentle. But when he got mad, it would get snagged, he had to wind it up with a pencil. He had a giant beard which animals used as a nest. Some of the creatures he would shelter, others he would ingest.
The beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast.
His vocal cords were often the topic of local lore. He had a language which nobody had written or spoke before. Kinda sounded like a dragon was gagging upon an eagle, terrifying at the same time, both noble and regal. And nobody will understand how he always seemed to make sense. And even if they couldn't agree on facts surrounding events, no matter which side of the argument, they all can at least agree that nobody's ever experienced anything quite like the beast.
The beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast, the beast.
He was driven outside of the county line, delivered a bound and gag. The people were mocking him from the back of the truck while on the ground he dragged. It's true you may be covered in flesh, it's true that you may bleed, but it's also true that we don't like your kind, whatever your kind may be. So they cut him loose and spun the wheels and left him in a cloud. So lonely and pathetic, once majestic and so proud. Even those that cared for him, they didn't dare to interfere. So the only thing left to figure out was where to disappear. So with a hunch much slower than he thought that it could get, he wandered off into the wilderness with a broken cassette. But every now and then the people hear him howling, and it either comforts them or else it has them cowering. And like I said, depending on who you talk to, the story will change. Some will say he was insane and some will call him deranged. But no matter which side of the argument, they all can at least agree that nobody's ever experienced anything quite like the beast.
The beast.